While a lot of the word on the street is that property price continue rising so high, is it a bubble? Is it sustainable? Okay, so what does an increase in interest rate mean for the market as a whole? I'm breaking it down into 2 points, right? What does an increase in interest rate mean for the market, number one, and what does an increase in interest rate mean for you? Okay, so let's talk about the market first, from the macro to the micro. In terms of loan to value, okay, while the MAS has set the loan to value for loans, property loans, mortgage loans at 75% as opposed to 90% in the past, if you really actually go and read the MAS Financial Stability Report, okay, I'm going to put that link into the chat. Yeah, in a bit, okay? And you can go and read that. But if you actually read the article, they've done their checks and the actual average household LTV is 45.7, much lesser than the 75 that they stipulate. So what does that mean? That means if you average across all the Singapore households in Singapore, most of them have already paid off half their house. Okay, so but what does that mean? Okay, later on, I'm going to show you how does that mean in terms of the numbers lah. And how many of you actually go and study the Singapore household balance sheet? Because I do, and but I'm a nerd like that. But in any case, let me share with you what I've seen. So this is another chart from the MAS Financial Stability Report 2021, okay? And this particular table charts the cash and deposit rates of the Singapore household against household debt. So notice how household debt has balanced off, similar in terms of the LTV chart people are taking. While a lot of the word on the street is that property price continue rising so high, is it a bubble? Is it sustainable? But bubbles tend to mean excessive debt, right? Over leveraging. That's what bubbles mean. But if you really look at it, household debts have actually tapered off compared to the gradient from 2010 onwards. That gradient has gone lower. Means the rate of increase of household debt is going down. But Singaporeans love to save, Asians love to save. So savings, cash and deposits continue to go up. To the tune of how much? That's the good question, and that's why I put the whole balance sheet over here. The household net worth in Singapore, right, is 2.3 trillion with a T, okay? Cash and deposits is at 5.4 billion, okay? The liabilities, and this includes your car loan, housing loan, any liability, okay? To answer the people's question on how many highly leveraged people are there in the market. So I'm going to average it out into one person. So assume this is one person valued at the person is called the Singapore household, right? Valued at 2.38 trillion with cash and deposits, meaning liquid assets, of $5.4 billion. All the liabilities add together is just 3.6 billion. So at any one point in time, for example, you've heard people say this. I've had a lot of clients that say this. Hey, if interest rate come out too high, I will just fully pay off the loan. I'm getting a lot of those inquiries nowadays, right? With former clients checking back and say, hey, with rates going up like that, should I just fully pay off the place? So yeah, these are the actual data points, publicly available data that shows me that the Singapore household isn't highly leveraged. As a matter of fact, they are very... if you are a more aggressive investor, you will say this is actually a very conservative way to plan your finances lah. Okay? But that's all in all a good thing, right? Extremely strong fundamentals in terms of the Singapore household balance sheet. Moving on, what does that mean for you, right? How do I answer the people that ask me, hey, with the increase in interest rate, should I fully pay off the loan? Or another question that people like to ask is, should I pay down more of the loan? Should I not take so much loan so that I reduce my interest expense and I reduce my monthly mortgage? I get this question a lot as well, and let me help you guys answer that. So what does an increase in interest rate mean for you? Okay, so I've done an example for you. So assuming you have a $1 million house and you take a 30-year loan. So last time when somebody can take a 90% loan to value, and if interest rates go from 1% to 2%, they will have a $432 increase in monthly repayment. But today it's at 75%. So if a 1%, the interest rate increases by 1%, that's extra $360 a month. Okay? And I put $50 there because $50 is the average LTV for the Singapore household, right? And at 50%, the difference of a 1% increase in interest rates is $240 a month. And I put that question to all of you, would you sell your house? Don't even say for cheap, just sell your house, right? For an extra $360 expense a month. Just ask yourself that question. But if you ask me, the obvious answer is no. We will cut back on every other thing except selling the house because it's your single biggest asset. So for those who are thinking that an increase in interest rates will result in a lot of supply into the market, there will be people forced selling the house, I'm afraid you'll be disappointed. But adding on to that other point, onto the other example, is because you see the previous, but why do people continue to say that? Why do your uncles, parents say that? It's because last time when there was a 90% leverage, when it was the norm for 90% leverage, the difference is $432, and last time interest rate is not 1%, last time it's like 3-4%, and then it go up to 5-6% kind. So it's very, very painful. And on top of that, because there was no ABSD, it's a likely chance that that particular person, right, it was very, very common, which is why we always hear horror stories of people going bust or their houses getting repossessed, is because they easily was servicing 2, 3, 4 loans, 2, 3, 4 properties, because no ABSD you just buy. Actually, 400,000 you can buy 4 $1 million properties already. And if the interest rate goes up by 1%, you take $400 times 4, $1,600, and that's going to impact people, right? That is where the impact comes. And when they cannot service 1, they get margin called, and the bank repossesses 3. The bank is then forced to sell those 3 properties in the market, and that is why we have all those bank auctions. But today the bank auction is very, very little, because you also have to understand the bank don't want to take back your property, right? Because it's a lot of hassle for them, and then they have to pay the auction house like 10% commission to sell the particular property. They hate to do that. They rather try their best to give you some leeway, debt, credit restructuring, those sort of things. But I think they're a lot happier now because, first of all, ABSD. So, maximum a couple is going to have is 2 lah. I'm saying like for 95% of Singaporeans, maximum 2. And even that, right, a 1% increase is not really going to cause a surge in supply of properties into the market. Hence, why property prices wouldn't drop because of the increase in interest rates. I hope this example kind of illustrates the point across, right? I'm going similarly the past and the present examples to try and illustrate the point. Then next, right, on how does it affect you? Should you go and pay down your property? So let me give you some numbers, right? If you look at the 75% to the 50%, how do you use this same table to answer the question, should you lower down your loan? What is the difference in your monthly repayment by dropping your leverage from 75 to 50%? So assuming the interest rate is at 2%, look at the difference. 2,772 versus 1,848. The difference is $800. Okay, difference is $800. But if anything happens to you, you still have to pay 1,848. But you spend 250,000. Why 250,000? 25% of $1,000,000 because you're lowering it from 75 to 50 ma. So you spend $250,000 paying off the loan. So provided you have a lot of buffer, because if not, I'd rather you keep that $250,000 as a buffer, and if anything happened to you, you can still use that 250,000 to pay this 2,772, right? And last you a long time, a long time, right? So generally, I don't recommend clients fully paying off their house too early. Of course, it then also depends on which stage of your life you are at. I have clients that are 50, 60 years old. They have already tons and tons of cash. For this, they want to pay off so that, you know, they don't want any hassle, they don't want any stress, they don't want the bank to keep sending them letters reminding them of the increase in interest rates, then they want to pay off. Okay, that one fine. But if you are 30s and 40s, especially if you have liabilities, I suggest you don't fully pay off. Right? If you have 200 extra cash, you know, go and invest it somewhere else, or just keep it in your piggy bank for a rainy day. Right? Point is, anything happens, by lowering it, you still have to pay the lower amount. Okay? Okay, let's move on.